Welcome to Mixed Media Creations with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchell. Did you know you can follow me on Instagram? www.instagram.com/CreativeKatie. See what I'm up to daily. Don't forget to subscribe and share my channel and this video with your creative friends. Today, an index card a day, number 6. It's entitled Be You. In this ICAD, I'm using the techniques that I taught you in the Mixed Media Technique tag number 4, keeping bright colors on a black background. Links to all the products used can be found in the description box below. What you're looking at right now are the first 5 ICADs. Remember, my goal is to do at least half, and I'm not necessarily following the prompts. What I'm doing with each of the ICADs is featuring a background technique or a mixed media art journal technique that you will then be able to use on your art journal spreads, on your canvases, on whatever you're creating, truly. So each one of these ICADs is featuring a technique that I've already provided a instructional video on that talks about the technique in great depth, and I will always put a link to the technique video so that if you're looking for a little more instruction than what I'm giving in the ICAD video, you'll be able to go back and check into it. And there's a lot of information there. I tried really hard to expand on the technique and use the technique with different mediums and give different insides and outs. So it's great for the beginner and a good review for all of us. So with ICAD number 6, what I'm going to do is featuring the technique, Mixed Media Technique tag number 4, which was keeping bright colors on a black background. And recently, in a couple of the Facebook groups that I'm in, there was a question posed exactly about that. You can buy black art journals now where the background page, it's already black. And so this is a way of keeping those bright, crisp colors. And as you can see here, there were 3 different ways that I achieved that to different effects. Then in another video, in the Mixed Media Technique tag playlist, I use that technique of keeping the colors bright to reverse a stencil. And so I'm going to kind of use, it's Mixed Media Technique tag number 4, and I will also put a link to the video where I've created this, and I will be giving you a lot of extra information in there. So what I have here is the same index card, and I have a coat of black paint on here, and it's showing up a little bit blue. I'm not sure why. It's just something that was in my stash left. Okay, so my gesso is obviously dried a little bit, so I will be cleaning this out. It's kind of goopy, but I guess I haven't used black gesso in a while. I love using black gesso. It has a little bit more grit to it than maybe black acrylic paint, but you can use black acrylic paint if you don't have black gesso. The brand that I use is actually Demco brand, and I've just put it into this container. It's so smooth and creamy. I'm not sure about other brands, but this one is luxurious. It's gorge. So I'm just gonna dry that, and I'm gonna we're just gonna put a little bit of water in here to see if I can either bring this back to life or clean it out and start again. Okay, so this is all dry, and just a word, I was able to rejuvenate my black gesso, even though it was all globby, just by adding water. I kind of got in there and dug around and got out any of the hardened bits and the globs and stuff, but I was able to rejuvenate with water. So if you've got a paint that, you know, isn't completely dry, you may want to try just adding a little bit of water and seeing what happens. Anyways, on to the ICAD. This is a Crafter's Workshop stencil. It's one of my newest. It's Connect Dots, and I love the dots there. I think this is going to make a very interesting background. And like you saw in this one, I love using the black paint to build contrast in here, but I want the dots to stay black. So, and I'm playing with another way of reversing a stencil. This is one way, and I'm playing with another way, and I'm probably going to do it at some point on there. So I kind of want to put the placement here. So what I'm going to do now, what is underneath the stencil is going to stay black. That is what's going to be black, or whatever color you have on the background. So I'm just going to tape this down a little bit because I just find that it's a little easier, and then I don't want it to move on me. And I'm going to just also tape this stencil down. I just find it's a little bit of extra assurance that everything is going to stay where I want it to. It's just going to help me out. So what I'm going to do now is get some white gesso, and I am going to apply that I'm going to put some on the side. I'm going to apply this with a makeup sponge, and I may have to do a couple steps. I don't want to go too wet. I don't want to press the sponge down. You can use white acrylic paint again if that's what you have. Wherever I'm putting white, that is where the colors are going to be. So we're going to have, you know, black is going to be the dots and the lines of the stencil, and everything else surrounding that is going to be colored. If I put color through this right on top of a black, you will get color, but it will be muted somewhat, depending on the exact paint you use and how opaque it is, or translucent or transparent it is. So this way, you're adding a step here to make sure that your colors remain bright. I'm going to just turn off the camera, and I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then I might come back and add another layer just to make sure I get that as white as I possibly can. Okay, so I added another layer, and you could just leave the stencil on, but I'm going to show you what it looks like because we will be reapplying the stencil. You do not want to take your heat tool and go over the stencil. Remember, the stencil is plastic, so you don't want to do that. So I'm just going to do kind of a sneak peek here, and you can see you have a very interesting background. you know, and I could stop here and say, you know what, I really like the black and white. And when I saw this stencil, that's what I kind of envisioned. So I'm just going to put this, now that I have it off, I'm just going to give this a good dry. And I'm going to select the colors that I want to put on here. If I was doing this and I wasn't filming it to show you what was there, I would have just left the stencil in place, let it dry, give it a few minutes, let it dry, and then come up and not risk having it shift. Now the makeup sponge, when you put acrylic paint in it, what I like to do is just take my Murphy's oil soap, my mixture of Murphy's oil soap, dish detergent, and I just spray a little bit into the sponge. And that will, you know, even until I get to clean it, I just put it in that pile, and then the acrylic paint will come out very easily after the fact, and you'll be able to get more uses out of the out of it. Okay, so what I need is to pick some colors here that I want, you know, so the dots are going to be black and the lines are going to be black. And I'm going to grab my Dilutions paints, I think. So, you know what, I really haven't thought too much about colors here. I prefer the cherry pie to so I'm going to use these two colors, and I know this is Calypso Teal and Cherry Pie, but you can use any pink and or teal. Okay, so I have these are Ranger blending foams, the circular ones, and instead of buying the holders, I just make my own out of these are old teacher stamps. So if you know, old wooden blocks and stamps, and then I just put a little bit of Velcro from the dollar store on that, and they work rather well. So I'm just going to get this into there, into the foam, and do this. Now I know from playing with color that wherever I overlap the pink and the teal, I'm going to get a beautiful purpley tone. So I'm counting on that. The Calypso Teal, I find, is a little bit more translucent, transparent than, I can never remember which one, than the Vibrant Turquoise. So I'm going to come back with the Vibrant Turquoise. It's a little greener, but you can see it just, the coverage is just so much more. Now the secret with the Dilutions, they blend really well, but the secret is stop and let it dry. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to add more, but I'm going to let this dry. Okay, so now that it's dried a little bit, just going to come in . Okay, so I think I'm good with that. So So we're going to build up our stash. I'm just going to spray these, and I'm getting, this is just with water, and I have a coffee filter. You could do the same with a on a paper towel. This is something that I might be able to use a little bit, and I kind of have them at the ready to put leftover paint. So as soon as I have leftover paint, I try to put that on here. Now once that's done, I'm just going to put a little Murphy's oil soap, and I'm just going to set that aside, so I will clean it all up once I'm done. My Dilutions paints are getting a little bit, they dry. I love them, the blendability, the colors, but I do not like that they dry out at all. So I'm just spraying even what's on the mat. Okay, so there, and then I'm just going to set that aside to dry, and we're going to have a lovely colored paper to do whatever. Takes my time. So there you have it, and it's just, you know, with the different blending, you kind of get what you get, but I'm really liking that effect. So you can play with that. I mean, the background color, whatever's the dots, could be colored, the other part could be black. Play with it and see. You know, you have a stencil, you can utilize it in various ways. Now, I just have some black paint here, so I'm just going to edge this a bit just to see. And often I do that before I put the focal point. Somehow it's part of my process, right? I find once I frame it, it, you know, gives me some time. So I'm really loving the look of this. We've got the bright colors, you know. So now what I need is a focal point that is going to go on there. So I'm going to go through my stash and I will be back. Okay, so I picked out a focal point, and I have one of Tim Holtz's Crazy Birds, and I'll put a link to that in the video along with any other of the materials that I've used. But I just want to show you, I have, you know, cutouts that I've cut with my silhouette. I've got stamped images. I've got lots of my Crazy Birds and the Crazy Cats from Tim Holtz and other things. And I just collect them all in a pile. So when I, you know, go off camera to select something, that's what I do. And I kind of, you know, we put on each one, and you kind of, you know, I by eye color, you know, do I like that one or do I like that one? That one just seems to fit in my mind, you know. Often these aren't colored, sometimes they are because I've colored them for something else and ended up not using it. So, you know, build your stash and have it at the ready. I have these sayings in my, you know, and again, there's lots of videos showing how I build up my stash with the sayings and stuff. So I'm liking how the white and the black, you know, it all looks really good to me. I think composition wise it looks better with this bird kind of falling off the page. This is a little bit more white than I want, so I'm going to do what I call half fussy cutting. I'm just going close. I'm still going to keep a border of white in here, a little bit of white around it, so it's kind of lazy fussy cutting. You know, I actually, now looking at it, I think I might have preferred just leaving it as it was, but you know what? live and learn, right? This is all about experimenting and playing and trying things out. Okay, so I'm liking that. Now we need to, I'm just going to set that aside, decide on the color here. There's not much pink, so I'm thinking I might go pink with this. So, you know what? Let's just go and do that. Now these birds were cut out ahead of time and in my stash. Sometimes they're not, but you know, I'm not too particular, you know. Now some people, you've got your Copics, you've got your other mediums that you like coloring with. Anything goes here. You really, I could pull out any medium. So there's nothing, it's just I have this right here, so going to press that in there just to get a little bit of interest. I don't know if you can see. It just added some texture to it. So I'm just going to grab what I don't want is flat. So often I'll pick two tones or two colors and I will try to get, you know, an effect. So here I've used it, I've kind of texturized it in a very quick, easy way. So there we go. I think I'm happy with the color that we have here. Now, I have my black paint and I'm just going to edge this guy up and give him his legs. This gets rid of the white edges. You can do this with an ink pad. More often than not, that's what you see. But you know what? You don't need to go buy the ink pad to do that. You can use your acrylic paints, craft paints, whatever you have. You know, there's, you know, all these products are amazing, and they truly are, but you do not need all of them to be successful and to create wonderful pages in there. Now I need a little bit of yellow. I reorganized my craft room. I got some new carts, so I'm not quite sure where anything is right now. So I'm just doing a little bit of yellow. This is just a mermaid marker, Pirate's Gold. I don't use them often. I thought I would. I don't use a whole lot of watercolor with within my mixed media and my art journaling, so, but that's me. Other people, it's a constant go-to. I do more, I think more with the acrylics, or things that are permanent, a little more permanent. Okay, so I think that's quite cute. I'm going to grab my matte gel. almost out. And because everything is acrylic underneath here, I really don't have to worry about anything reactivating and smudging and getting out of control. I can just apply the gel medium or any wet medium and have no issues with that. Okay. Okay, so my usual, I hold it down, put under, and then press down. And I'm not attempting to get it perfectly level because quite honestly, you're never going to, and it will drive you crazy. Okay. I'm kind of liking the bubble wrap texture on the bird. That's a neat way. I've never done that before. I don't know. You know, sometimes in the midst of a video, midst of a creation, you think of something that you've never tried before. Okay, back up. And there we have it. ICAD number 6. Using mixed media technique tag number 4. Keeping bright colors on a black background. I hope you give it a try. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to share the video with your crafty friends. See you next time. Okay, you note I painted the beak yellow with my watercolor brush, and of course by the time I put the gel medium on, guess what happened? It totally disappeared, which is why I like using acrylic or permanent mediums. So I'm going to grab my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens, and I'm just going to do that on there. And I know this is permanent, so I don't have to worry too terribly much about it. I need some splatters. So I'm just taking some white acrylic paint, watering it down, mixing it up. That's what I'm doing over here. And I have my fan brush, which is, you know, kind of my preferred method, but you can use any kind of brush. You can use a toothbrush. I test the size of the dots off to the side. And I don't want it on the bird, so I'm just going to dab it off. I could have put a mask on top of the bird, or, you know, if I had planned it, I would have done the splatters before. And I don't like this blob, so you can go in and remove it if you move quickly. Okay. So be you. The rest of the world will adjust. Bye for now.